It was coming at me, though.
You're gonna tap the shit out of him.
The guy was coming at me crazy.
What? Wait, take a picture right now. Matt.
On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch.
Coming in at 320 kilobytes per second, it's time for MattieC's Sports for you and me.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to MattieC Sports for you and me. I have a special guest here. He's judged and refereed everything on the planet in the New England area. This is Alan Lau, and good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Matt. How are you? I'm doing well.
I'm good as well. So, how I met you was actually, I'm going to shout out Igdalia Medina. She has her own show, Their Fight Stories. So thank you, Iggy. So what got you into this passion for judging and reffing different combat sports like Muay Thai and MMA?
So Muay Thai is always my passion. That's way back in the 90s when I know back in the day when Sid Yotong with Mark Dalagrati, they used to go down to like New York to do like shows back in the 90s. I believe in college, I went there like one time, like with one of the friends, and at that time like I heard it's like they have to going down to New York and fight. I'm like, oh, that's great. So and then about 2000 maybe what was it, 20, I forgot when, maybe 2008. That's right before, that's about a couple of years before Massachusetts sanctioning MMA, and I took the course from the ref Kevin McDonald up in New Hampshire to become a official train for MMA judge up in New Hampshire at that point, and that's how I got started with the official journey.
And from what I've seen, now everybody, if you see, I'm wearing a Cage Titans t-shirt. I've seen you reffing last card you judged.
Last card I judged, yes, but I was wearing a referee clothes just in case I need to go into, for just in case, that's all.
And so one of the big ones I last saw you was, I mean, you've been for a lot of them, but I really started to notice is when fighter Joe the Party Penafiel fought Lionel Bugs Young.
Yep.
So, going into a big fight like that, like, how do you prepare yourself for different events? Or is it just like, even if it's an AMI fight, do you take it just as important as, a regular pro title fight?
Absolutely. Actually, from one of my greatest mentor said to me, you will see more crazy stuff in a local amateur fights over than like a big show professional fights. Because a lot of things with the big shows, I'm talking about like one FC, UFC and all that, or even Bellator and all the stuff, like a lot of these medium big size shows, a lot of things have been vetted. right? By the promotion, by the commission, the coaches and judges is, the same, 20 top 20 teams, right? Per se. But if you have a local shows, it doesn't really matter. Like it's a professional amateur. It's like you still have to put on your A game because a lot of times, the crazy thing happens. So you have to really on on edge all the time. There's no like, oh, it's an Emmy 0-0 or debut, like 0-2 or whatever. Like you can't think like that. And as a matter of fact, I don't look at the racket and who's fighting against who. Like I go to every single bout. It's like the title fight for UFC. You have to have that kind of mindset because as soon as your mindset changed, it's like, oh, I can just take it easy, and that's usually the MMA gods punish you as an official. So you have to be really pay attention all the time.
I mean, when you're in the octagon or you're in the ring for Muay Thai, is like, do you ever have a feeling like, you're in there and you're like trying to like, is it hard to decide like if this guy or woman is, getting a little roughed up and they're, not fighting as well and they're taking a beating? Like, is it hard to judge, like, should I stop this bout?
So that comes with experience. So sometimes it's like if you a lot of people, they take like all the professional fights or whatever they see on TV, they oh, that guy can take blah 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 and came back and won, why can't you, oh, and then they go to the same, local shows are expecting the same things. So as a referee, there's a lot of things you got to look at. Like, is the fighter intelligently defending themselves, right? Or like sometimes you have to, and sometimes the fighters, they play that, and then like, or they'll play, being hurt, and then as they're set up, and then you go in there and stop the fight, and and then they're like, oh, oh, what the hell are you doing? Blah blah blah. And how many people, I mean, how many fighters you saw them got kind of like knocked out, and then like as soon as you stop them, they came right back and like, oh no, I no, I'm fine. And you look at the clip, it's like, the fighter was clearly out, right? So that comes with a lot of experience at what what the fighters are taking in terms of, punishment, and also like their body language, their feet, their eyes, they're coherent about what you say. So it's funny, like you mentioned about the last Cage Titan. So that was a kickboxing bout, I believe. And then like I stopped the bout, maybe I stopped the bout, right? And then the people were like, oh, you stopped a little early. They're thinking, right? And then the doctor looked at the fighter. Within a few seconds, the fighter puked all over the doctor in the cage.
Oh, that was I know who it was, but we'll keep going.
Right. So that's things like that. They all look at me, oh, why you stop the fight? And then I'm like, yeah, because I saw him, he wasn't there. Like I saw something wrong, and I felt like, the fighter, hey, that's stop the fight. Same thing with line fight, like, you know, there was a fighter from overseas that was fighting EJ, and after like the second or third round, like his feet start to cross, like there's, but like a lot of that is very subtle. So like as referee, you really have to watch out for a lot of subtleness of how the fighter changed from beginning of the fight to like where you decide to stop. So it's a
Right.
lot of experience. Like that, you can't teach that. Like that's only by getting into the ring and get experience.
Right. And then there's the difference between like for me, like when you see like a fighter who's somewhat looking like they have the upper hand and they're
Hmm.
like, does it frustrate you when they're like, okay, like, are you gonna stop this fight because I'm kicking this dude's ass? Like, does that kind of like bother you, or you just have that same mentality, like, I don't care what this kid says, I'm the one judging this fight, like, just let me do my job.
So my job is for fighter safety as a referee. So I really don't care how the fighter feels or the corner feels about certain things. If I go in there, if I don't, I feel like that's justifiable for that, I'm gonna make that decision and do it. As an official, being a judge or a referee, as long as you can intelligently defend your decision that you have made and the judgment that you have made, I mean, that's the best thing we can do. Because I mean, like that's why you have three judges, right? And that's why you have,
Hmm.
at different corners, different location, watching the fights. But as a referee, like we there for fighter safety, and that's my top priority. So it's like as an amateur, if they get beaten or they close to a fight, but like, is it really worth like the fighter safety as an amateur or even pro, like to take that kind of damage just to for that fight? You know what I mean? So none of that stuff really in my head in terms of calculation. Like I'm there for the fighter safety no matter what. I don't care it's a one championship, UFC title fight, or it's a non-sanctioned fight done somewhere. I don't care. Like that's where, when you, like I said, when you don't pay attention, when you take yourself out of the bout, and say, that's when things happen. So you always have to kind of put your A game as an official. And don't get me wrong, that there's days that, you as a ref, do you have off days? I mean, will happens, but that's why you need to have a good, like, supporting like people around you that been through the ringer and really there for you. Um, so that's important. So I'm glad that I have a group of officials that criticize each other in a way, but in a good way. We never go online and just bash this person, this and that, but it's like, hey, text you or in a group or say, hey, what's going on here? Blah, blah, like for positive, correct, for like the improvement for the sports for
Hmm.
us.
So like a constructive criticism type of thing.
Oh, definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong, like we all bust balls, we all
Of
kind of
course.
whatever. But at the end of the day, like nobody is bigger than the sport itself. We are just part of this. So in order to make the sport better, we need to be better as an official. So I can tell you right now, I'm probably the biggest critic. Like if I messed up, all these online people like, complain about me or whatever, like trust me, I am probably the one that kind of on myself, like, hey, you know what, I messed up. This is and that, and I'm gonna learn from it, and then the next one gotta be better. That's that's the way it is. That's the only way to get better.
And I've known, well, I've seen you ref and the last card you judged. So that's a panel of three people, but you have your own type of deal where you can really judge the fight. And I think corresponding with you, you're the ref in most fights. I think you have a vast knowledge of this sport, and I think most of the fighters appreciate you anyway because they think you have fair judgment, and that's coming from talking to some people. And you know, do you feel like this is like, it feels like you take very serious, and you have a passion for this in MMA and Muay Thai. So in the Muay Thai world, is that reffing and judging a bit different compared to MMA?
Oh, very different. So in Muay Thai is is more like in depth in a way because I mean the sport of MMA like really popularized in what, like 25 years, right? And let's say 10 years before that. So let's say 30 years, 35 years of history of MMA, what we have today in a way, that what evolved to what we have today. And if you're talking the sport of Muay is boxing in Thai. So in the sport of like Muay Thai or Southeast, in Laos and Cambodia, that's been going on since like 1300s
Yes.
because
Yep.
like the Muay itself was what the military used to use like to defend the countries back in the Southeast Asia area. So like you have like Muay Laos, Muay Thai, like Cambodians, like they all have very similar sports from that region for that reason. It's almost like their version of like Krav Maga, right? Like that's what they use for to protect themselves. So now you compare 35 years of history of MMA versus, 600 years of, Muay is totally different. I mean, the Muay itself, but like the sport of Muay Thai is about 100 years. So you're still looking at a lot more different, like history differences between two sports. And also because that's another thing too with MMA. Like right now in 2022, we actually most states adopted the ABC unified rules. I don't know, do you remember back in maybe about 6 years ago, like not all states adopted the rules. Just like
Yes.
and so certain state, consider certain fighter down opponents is different. Like New Jersey didn't accept the ABC rules, and then so if you go to Vegas, you know, um, what considered down opponent, that was like a big thing, right? So one major things about Muay Thai is like since there's no unified rules of Muay Thai across the board, and so a lot of people going to shows thinking about one rule set from one promotion and they go to another and they're expecting the same thing and they are not. So like knowing the rules and regulation for sports that you're watching is very important. So I mean, how many I use inside, you cage side or whatever in an amateur fight, how many people say, "Hey, elbow, elbow, elbow," and
Oh yeah.
elbow is illegal, like for amateur in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, actually in most sanctioned states. So things like that. So like so a lot of fans are there as a fan, and which is great. But also too, like as a official, you really have to know some rules and regulation, like anywhere you go when you work a show. So when I teach, so I am a Muay Thai instructor for judge and referee for Massachusetts for the commission. So like the first thing out of my mouth is you need to know the rules and regulation of the event that you're working at,
Hmm.
because that's when nothing happens, it's fine, but when something happens, they're gonna point to the rules and reg, and then you have to, you know, kind of intelligently defend yourself based on that.
And you talk about the first sync. So I remember a long while back was I think it was Tim Silva or Sylvia was fighting in Worcester at the what was whatever it's the DCU Center
Yeah.
now. And I believe that was the first sanctioned fight in Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So I have worked at the one down by Brockton, right outside at the baseball stadium.
Oh,
I believe
Marciano.
Mazzano Stadium. Yeah. I believe Marcus Davis was on the card at that, and I was shadowing. As a matter of fact, that's when as a judge. So that was a long time ago, but I don't remember exactly when was the first show in Massachusetts for MMA. But it's been since 2010, I believe.
My goodness. So another question I meant to non Muay Thai, non MMA. So I was looking up something and I saw you on a show called Riding Shotgun. How much fun was
Riding
that?
shotgun with Charlie, yeah. Yeah, so Charlie's a good friend of mine. So he has this stage coach that he drives around the country and asks about people about in the 2A, Second Amendment advocates and stuff. So I happen to be a firearms trainer for Massachusetts and stuff. So he was asking me to be on the show and have a very good conversation. That was about an hour. That was a lot of fun. And I know we just met not for long, but like I am very real and I don't really fall for a lot of like media stuff. My big thing is always like critical thinking. So so in anything we do actually. So so we had a good time. Yeah, Charlie's a good friend of mine. Great guy.
And you have a plethora of things you do, like woodwork and taking care of pets and firearms training, and tell them about your ventures, and even on your shirt what you do for
All right,
that.
so oh, thank you. So I have a promotion called New England YDL, it's a New England Youth Development League Muay Thai. So what happened was maybe a few years ago, maybe this is our fourth year. So it started in 2019. So around 2018-ish, I was either I was officiating a fight about or a event. And I was just looking around and I'm like, it's the same fighters again, right? You go from one promotion, go to another. And I believe the promoter flown in somebody from overseas for the title fights. But then, in the stand is really nobody really for that person because nobody really know who that person is. As good as that person is or was, for the fight, like nobody knows who that person is. So like, it's not that much, it doesn't really bring in that much sales because nobody, you know what I mean? So it's not like you bring in franchise, everybody know fighting for the title fight or Bukwa or, Neil Harrison, Liam Harrison or something, right? So like, so to me, I'm like, why don't we have some kind of like a farm teams or system? Because like, with my lot of background for martial arts judo, that I've been doing it since like 97. So we always have kids tournaments. So I'm like, we don't really have that for Muay Thai, in the areas. And that's when I'm like, you know what? I've been involved with the rules and regulation for a long time for Massachusetts, for the New England area. So I'm like, why don't I, you know, try to start something locally? But the goal of the New England YDL is really to spark the interest for this local area. And then when they get older or they want something bigger and better, they can definitely move on to like, WKA, USMF, IFMA, like all these tournaments. Like, the goal of YDL is not compete, with them, but it's almost like a stepping stone so that, hey, get the feet wet, they so, in the environment that they save so they can move on to the bigger thing and better things. And plus, keep it local, I can have more control of how things are being ran instead of getting too big that, then you kind of start losing the meaning or, the control of the event to ensure the safety of the fighters.
Right, exactly. And the big things coming around, and I've noticed has been lion fights has been coming around and it's starting to fill the seats now, which is it's what I like to see because myself I'm not big on the education of Muay Thai until a while back when I interviewed a woman from Toronto, Canada, who told me about her experience. Now, she trains Muay Thai. I think she had a couple of AME fights in Thailand, but she would visit Thailand and, see these guys fight. See these guys, they don't have, brand new gyms. They're fighting outside. They're fighting on concrete, like, and just the dedication they have is amazing. And like you said, Alan, like the history, I find the history of it amazing. And now they've had stadiums and stuff dedicated to this stuff, and it's like it's an actual live like Muay Thai stadium based just for that. So like I feel like in America they should have that type of style, like either tournament or like stadium that's constantly just for Muay Thai.
So my grandmaster for Muay Thai is actually Grandmaster Supan is actually based in Bangkok, and I go train with him a couple times. I'll maybe try to once a year or once every couple of years based on the the commitment I have over here. And every time I go there, I go for about 2 weeks, and I would do like 20 to like 30 hours of private just with him. And this fun fact, the first time I was there after I've been doing Muay Thai here for maybe like 6, 7 years, he goes, Alan, shadow box. I'm like, okay, basic. Well, okay. Within less than a minute of shadow box, he goes, Ella, come here. Like, start over. The first time I was in Thailand, I spent 25 private hours to learn how to basic of Muay Thai, how to shift the weight, how to basic balance, how to jungwa, which is the rhythm, like all that stuff. And my crew, we actually do something called the Muay Boran, which is the called ancient Muay Thai. And this is the stuff that you see like kind of more like a fighting like a fight scene that you see, the one that people like jump onto the guy's thigh and then like do the the double elbow to the top of the head and all the stuff. So like with him, we learn about history and also like why things are there. So like so did you know like Muay actually have like kata like a form?
I did not know that.
So they have Muay Mai, Mei Mai and Lok Mai, which is the form of the ancient Muay stuff. So next time I send you a link and then you can who does that? Like sometimes at a show that you see like Bugua does it before and they're almost like a no I wouldn't say a entertainment values, but almost like a showman value of this. And that's a lot of technique from Muay is the sport of Muay is came from Muay Boran. And also back to your point, a lot of people talk about stadium, this and that. That's another big aspect of Muay people don't talk about is gambling. So I've been to Lumpini Stadium, Channel 7 Stadium, and Rajadam Stadium. So in Bangkok, you have three stadiums. One is Lumpini, one is Rajadam, and the other one's Channel 7. So the Channel 7 is so they do a free Thai shows on a Sunday. And then in Lumpini and Rajadam, one of the stadium would have the even days and the other stadium would have the odd days.
Oh,
And
okay.
so pretty much entire week is Muay Thai in Bangkok itself.
Wow.
And it's gambling. Like that's one thing that people don't talk about. It's like, oh, why the Thai, like the first round, it's a 10-10, all the stuff. It's because, I grew up in the British colony. So, when the horse racing was huge. So with every horse racing before the race, they take all the horses, they do the loop around the thing. So people start betting. A lot of times the round one of that kind of like, I'm talking about local, like Lumpini and Rajadam, that's what it is. Like that's the round one. A lot of times it's like the showman. I was like, all right, like so now get the odds going. Like odds for red and blue fighter. And yeah, so at the end of the day, like people don't talk about that aspect. And that's huge because if you in a big fight, like if you win a big fight, that's good for like 3 months of sending money back home, back village somewhere, or 4 months, depends on what it is. So 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 the culturally, overseas is different than the US.
And I get that. And that's kind of a thing that's kind of like you said, it's taboo around here. You don't hear about that. And the only time I ever saw something equivalent to that was in a fake thing like a movie. Like
Right.
if you see Bloodsport, they're doing the betting. That's just a side thing. You're not paying attention to the side betting that's outside of what's fighting in the Kumite in that movie. But there is real sequences to that. But like people like here are like it's just a scene. But now that you say that, like that's in real life culture there.
Oh
Like
yes,
they're
oh yeah, it's
gambling.
real. Oh yeah, so you will see like when I was there, like and then like you can see guys like let's say 10 of them would have like clipboard with like 10 cell phones clip onto it, and then or pages, and then they would like kind of right at where like the floor, but like where the stadium start to go up, like so they'll be like right here, this where the people sits, and the ring will be here. So they will look up to the stadium after each round, and then people would give them like hand signals to place bets. And the odds, like I don't know the detail because my crew doesn't get involved with that stuff. But but like there's like the bet like placed like between every round. It's crazy, and that's why sometimes like if you hear some of the promotions from overseas, especially, they're like, hey, this is the money round, because now the fighter has to really knock out the other guy to win or blah blah blah. It's like, and when they say that's really the money round because that's a lot of people's money kind of like on it.
That's an amazing aspect that you never see here.
So
You never
now,
see.
so now I'm just doing the little devil's advocates here, the critical thinking side kickings to me. So now with the legalization with sport betting, especially with in the U.S., what like how is that going to affect the sport itself in the future?
Um, in I think it's fair in the MMA world just because, I mean, you're betting on football, you're betting on hockey, you're betting on every single sport. You're betting in the Super Bowl what the Super Bowl, like what type of shoes they're wearing. Like, so I do find it fair in that aspect for the MMA to do that. And, they're sponsored by DraftKings and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to affect the sport too much, but at the same time, it's like you could have people that are addicted to gambling even more than ever because
Right. Yeah.
they're actually showing the odds now where in many cases they weren't.
Right.
Like now
Yeah. I know.
ESPN, I look at it like I was talking to Eric Anders at one point, and he played football, and so I happened to look at Alabama's game the other day, and they were up 45 and they were giving 45 and a half. Now, some people don't know that, but at the same time, it's like now it's ESPN is now putting spreads on their apps. It's like you're promoting gambling so bad. Like it's terrible now the way people are going to get real gambling problems, and it's going to start at a young age. College kids are betting on football and stuff like that. But
And now they also get rid of the rules that they can actually get paid now, the college kids, I believe.
yeah, exactly. So they're getting paid for this stuff, and it's it's money making now.
Yeah, I know. I know. So now my big thing is really keeping the integrity of the fights going, as an official.
And I admire your work you do in there. I think like you're one of the best refs here in this area.
Thank
And
you.
well, I mean, if they could spread you out, I mean, if they had MMA somewhere in say Brazil or even overseas like China or the Southern Asia stuff like that, would you think about judging or fighting around those areas?
To me, like I'm going back, like so when I first started with this MMA Muay Thai stuff, I am actually made a point that I would like to stay local.
Oh, okay.
So not that so the reason I'm going back to because if I stay local, I have more control, like especially with my whole YDL thing, like the youth development league. So if I stay local, I can invest. Like I'm a very personal person. Like I like to know people, not that in a way that like hey hey this guy trains with me blah blah. Like I don't do that. Like but
Mm.
like I like to stay local, but yet so that like so it's a lot like my impact is more. Like like so I can go to rules and regulation meeting with with Massachusetts, and it's like hey things they need help with, like I can be involved. But if you in China, overseas or even a lot of big shows, and that's totally different now. Like you became another worker, which I mean is great, but like I don't know, man. I like to stay local, and at this point in my life too, and it's like just like this is like my passion, but it doesn't pay the bills. So I have, different things that I have to do to pay the bills, right? So I like do this, and I'm, big shout out to like Brian Miners and Kevin McDonald's, like they all over the place. Like they're good referees, good officials, and so like
Hmm.
it's great to see them like at like big promotions and doing good stuff. But like to myself, like I like to kind of stay local for the most part at this stage in my life. But if you ask me the same question 5 years later, 10 years later, maybe heck, you know what? I want to go here, go there, and it's like being involved with different commissions. But at this point in my life, I'd like to stay local.
Good. I like to see you all the time. I like to see you at the cards.
Not certain fighters, they'd be like, oh, every time I have him as a referee, I lose. I'm like, oh, I don't want him, whatever. But it happens.
So yeah, so you'll talk to me more than Iggy now at the events then.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, so different, different people have different, priorities and stuff. So at this point in my life, I definitely like to stay here.
So how can people help with your organization? Is there any way they
So
can help?
so New England YDL is a not-for-profit. So like we are not officially 501c yet because it takes a lot of resources to get the nonprofit going. So if you have resources to help me to make it 501c, get the board of the get people on the board and all the stuff, like please reach out. You can email me to at New England YDL at gmail.com, and you see me at New England YDL on Instagram, reach out. So pretty much every time we do an event, the money after the payout that stays back into the funds that I don't touch. So I have a separate account just for New England YDL. Um, and shout out to all the promoters because I don't know how they make money because Mike Provere, like hats off to you because like running an event, look at the caliber
Oh,
of
I've
event that he
talked to him
runs, right?
numerous times.
All right, look at the
Yeah.
stuff that he brought in the 10 years that he has in Massachusetts. Like, it's not easy to run an event. People can talk trash about events, but like until you put in your heart and soul into an event to make that happen, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of resources. It takes not just money, like people and people you trust. And I'm actually very appreciative that Iggy actually get on board with YDL this year to help me. She is a tremendous help. I cannot speak any better for any person who have ever helped me, like in terms of for the combat sport. Like she is like God sent. Like she is awesome. She done so much work, and that's the recognition that she deserves. Like just look around all the other things that she's been doing. Their fight
Hmm.
stories. She always out there helping people. With no agenda. Like it's like hey, you
Absolutely.
need help, but she's right there for you. So she's awesome. So she's one of the biggest assets that I have for YDL because before her it was just me. Like I did everything. Like I went to gyms, get it started. Like try to have some, and then some of like the gyms helped you start spreading the words. You know what I mean? So now we went from like 4 gyms competing in the event to like 6, 7 gyms now.
Wow.
Go from like you know Nostal up in like a main border with Devon Powell all the way down to Rhode Island, so like we have a lot of schools from New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island, coming up, for the event, which is great, so New England IDL, if you can help out and like ask for donations, whatever, but all the money, the only thing right now that's no official 501c, so I cannot say I am non-profits, but like it's definitely not for profit. So we are trying to get into the whole 501c thing. So the other thing that I do that I want to mention is with the firearms training. So in Massachusetts, you are required to take a home safety course as part of your firearm applications. So with started at 2020 around May. So if you a domestic survivor, and it doesn't matter how long that thing happened, all I need from the person, whoever is interested, is to send me an email to alaufirearmstraining@gmail.com and let me know that they are a survivor. I will waive the course fees. I actually pay out of pocket for them to give them the training and certifications. So and that usually go for like 100 between like 85 to $150 per where you go. But like I would do it out of pockets for any domestic survivors that they feel like that they need to get a firearm for the protection or whatnot. So
I really respect that. More props to you for doing that kind of stuff, because some people have very terrible traumatic stuff that happens in that whole realm.
and that can be men and women. I mean, we always talk
Yeah.
about, women, but like a lot of times men are the victims that, the way that, the society is, they always say, hey, the women always a victim, but that's not the case a lot of times. At least a few instances I know it's not the case. So
Well, so my next thing is, are you going to cage fighting soon? Or are you going to lion fights? Where are you going next?
so as of right now, my schedule is pretty clear except for one in October. But otherwise, I am actually also limiting myself one show a month roughly, because of I have to be fair to the family time. So hence, like, I don't want to travel at this moment. But
Family first.
yeah, so right now I am limiting myself to one show a month. So that's about what I'm doing right now. So unfortunately I had to turn down a few shows, but that's the commitment I gave to my family. So I'm keeping that.
I respect that. And just be at
Yeah.
Cage Titans. Just be there.
Well, then I don't want the scene to be biased, right? So I need to kind of have
Or
my faces different events.
CES or Lion Fight or
Yeah. Yeah, so like especially like I that's another thing too. Like if commissioner in a jam or like they need people last minute, like if I kind of keep myself as one show a month, that kind of give me the more if I can make the conversation with the family and with the wife and stuff, and that's a little easier than if I'm already booked up, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then now all commission need the last minute for another Saturday shows. That conversation is a lot harder to have than hey, I'm doing this, one weekend a month, and now commission needs help for this. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna do it if I can make it happen.
well, Alan. So my final question is there anything else in the so all the MMA guys I talk to, most of them are like, I want to make it to the UFC. Now, from a judging and referee standpoint, I know your stance is like, this isn't just my one job, but is there anything in the future you'd like to do?
So, you know, like with the with being official, like this is your passion. Like again, like we spend, like you, right? You go to the event, it's a whole day affair.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So each event is a whole day affair. So it's really like how much you willing to quote unquote sacrifice, right? And people look at you, oh, you get paid, or whatever, you get this. But at the end of the day, like, what is your time worth to you? Like so if I go to if you go to a cage titan event, is let's say you get there at 4 or 5 o'clock, right? You send at midnight, an hour to an hour from. That's 10-hour days right there, if not
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
right? So at this, like again, at this time in my life, right now, like one show a month's good, you know, and just keeping it, just keep, I just like to keep building the YDL. Hopefully we can, I mean, like every year we've been growing, like from 2019 on, we've been growing. So I want to see YDL to kind of pick up a little more. I mean, don't get me wrong, like for our event next Saturday, I have 20 bouts right now.
Wow.
Like I have 20 bouts right now for next week, and those are confirmed and confirmed bouts. So it's busy. Like it's good, you know what I mean? And last year I had close, so I started with like 12, 14 bouts before, and then we've been going going up every single year. So it's good. I want to see YDL, we can actually, make it more official in a way that, more like could be like a USMF, the WKA-ish. But, I have to, I know where I am in terms of for the sports, right? So I know what the one key thing is like you can't lose focus, and you have to write down your focus and kind of stay on course. And so I know I just want to YDL to be a little better and make it almost like almost like Cage Titan. Like right now, Mike Porfier, like he already knows the ringer. He do 4 or 5 shows a year for the past 10 years, right? That's 50 shows. 50. He just had his 50th. So this was like 52nd or 53rd, 53 shows.
55.
55. So now, like by the time he's like doing 55, he already knows what he needs to do, right? So I kind of want to get to that point for New England YDL. So that's about it. So New England YDL is next Saturday, September 11th. I mean next Sunday, September 11th. I'm sorry, and it's gonna be at Sparrows MMA up in Plastow, New Hampshire. If you guys want to come up and support, please do. The first fight starts at 10, and hopefully we ends by like 2:30. So 4.5 hours nonstop.
Well, Alan, thank you so much for being on the show, and it was great having you. And now I have something to talk to you every time with the fights coming up. So,
and if you want to come to one of my trainings for Muay Thai judge and referee just to get some ideas, you're more than welcome to. You reach out, I'll take care of you. Just because to me, it's like if the more knowledge that people have for the sports, the better. Because a lot of times, you guys are the face to the normal audience and not us. So I think, like if you guys, have, the knowledge, and I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying like if they want to improve, to continue learning, right? So you are more than welcome. Reach out, man. I take care of you.
I appreciate that, and I'll have to take you up on that offer.
All right, man.
So everybody, thank you, Alan Lau on the show, and I want to thank Igdale Medina. Their fight story is like a sister to me now, so I appreciate her. And Alan, I'll see you soon, and we'll meet up, and maybe I'll take you up on that offer of Muay Thai.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. I'll let you know.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. You have a good day. All right, bye-bye.
Thanks for watching MattieC Sports for you and me. Make sure to follow Matty Cameron on Twitter at MattCameron23, or follow him on Instagram at MattieC23, or subscribe to his YouTube channel, MattieC Sports for you and me. Once again, thanks for watching.